Welcome back, everybody. So today we're complying with the rules of origin under the Windsor Agreement for UK EU trade. So this guide aims to provide a comprehensive understanding of how to ensure preferential tariff treatment for your goods when trading between the UK and the EU, especially after Brexit. My name is Hernan Tena, and today I will walk you through the key concepts, documentation requirements, and practical steps to help you effectively navigate these regulations in your daily operation. My hope is that by the end of the video, you'll be equipped with the knowledge to ensure smooth and compliant international trade practices. So to meet that, we'll cover several key topics essential for anyone involved in UK and EU trade. Obviously, as the first step, we'll discuss the rules of origin, explaining what they are and why they matter. Then we'll delve into the Windsor Agreement, highlighting its impact on customs procedures and trade regulations. Understanding these elements is crucial for ensuring your goods qualify for preferential tariff treatment. So stay until the end because this can significantly reduce costs and streamline your operations. So I will walk you through practical steps and provide a real-world case study to illustrate the process. By the end, you'll have a clear understanding of how to apply these principles in your daily work, obviously ensuring smooth and compliant trade practices. So let's move on, lads. Rules of origins. They are the criteria used to determine the national source of the product or of any product. They are essential in international trade because they help establish the economic nationality of goods. Yes, nationality of goods. I had the same impression. But anyway, it is what it is. So this is crucial for applying tariffs, quotas, and other trade measures. Understanding rules of origin is important because they affect how goods are classified and treated when they cross international borders. So this is key if your job or if your role has to do with international trade. By determining the origin of a product, these rules ensure that the appropriate tariffs are applied, enabling countries to benefit from preferential trade agreements. That's the key one, because if you can benefit from them, maybe you're also saving up some money. So for businesses complying with rules of origin, this can mean the difference between paying high tariffs or benefiting from reduced or zero, even zero tariffs under trade agreements. This directly impacts the cost of goods and overall competitiveness in the global market. Okay, so let's move on to the next section so we can go deeper on it. To determine the origin of a product, we have 3 steps, lads. So, number 1, wholly obtained goods. These are products that are entirely made in one country. Okay, so instead of 3 steps, we have 3 categories. So this is the first one. For example, vegetables grown and harvested in the UK are considered wholly obtained. Okay, second, the substantial transformation criteria. This means that a product has been significantly changed in one country. For instance, if car parts from different countries are assembled into a complete car in Germany, that car is substantially transformed in Germany. And third, a specific manufacturing process. Some products need to go through certain steps in a country to be considered as originating from there. For example, textiles may need to be woven or dyed in a specific country to meet the origin rules. So these criteria help determine where a product truly comes from, which is important for trade rules and tariffs. Like everything, if I want to prove something, I can only do it with paper, right? Other than that, it's quite difficult. So to prove where your goods come from, you need the right paperwork. The most important document is the certificate of origin. This paper shows where your product was made and is often needed to get lower tariffs. You also need other documents. Obviously, that's not it. So, for example, invoices and bills of lading. Invoices list what you're shipping and how much it costs. Whereas bills of lading are contracts between you and the transporter showing where the goods are going and who will get them. To get these documents, you usually apply through trade organizations or government offices. It's important to check that all papers are correct and match your goods. This helps make sure your products qualify for the best trade deals and avoid problems at customs. All right, so we've landed to the Windsor Agreement. This is an important deal for trade between the UK and the EU. It was made to help manage the changes after Brexit, especially for Northern Ireland. This agreement makes sure trade can continue smoothly and fairly. The elements of the Windsor Agreement, guys, focus on trade between Northern Ireland and the Republic of Ireland. It allows goods to move without a hard border, That's a key between these two countries. And this helps business by reducing delays and extra costs. The agreement also changes customs procedures and regulatory checks. It means some checks are needed, but it tries to keep them simple. This helps goods to move quickly and keeps trade flowing, a key element when you are importing and exporting, right? Now let's look at the practical steps for following the rules of origin. First, identify the criteria that apply to your goods. You need to know if your product is wholly obtained, substantially transformed, or follows specific manufacturing processes. This helps you understand what rules you need to meet. Second, you have to gather all the necessary paperwork. This includes the certificate of origin, invoices, and bills of lading. Make sure you have all the documents that prove where your goods come from and that they meet the criteria, which is the most important. And third, but not least, verify and certify the origin of your goods. Check that all your documents are correct and that they match your products. Sometimes you may need a third party, like a trade organization, to certify that your goods meet the rules. And finally, you just have to submit them and wait for an answer. Obviously, when you ship your goods, make sure all the paperwork is included and correctly filled out, because you don't want any surprises when they get to the destination, do you? Now, how to ensure goods qualify for preferential tariffs. So in the previous slide, I just gave you a couple of steps, but just remember that preferential tariffs are lower tax rates for goods traded between countries with special agreements. These agreements, like the Windsor Agreement, for example, help make trade cheaper and easier. By meeting the rules, businesses can save money and stay competitive. To qualify for these tariffs, goods must meet specific criteria. This means following the rules of origin, obviously, that's the most important, and having all the correct documents. Make sure your goods are either wholly obtained, substantially transformed, or go through the requirement processes. Over in this particular step, accuracy is key. Check all details carefully to ensure everything matches. Mistakes can lead to delays or extra costs. And I'm sure you want to avoid both of them. You don't want delays and you don't want extra costs. So now let's look at a real world example. I'm not going to give names just for data protection and all these regulations, but let's talk about Company X, which exports industrial machinery from the UK to the EU. To get lower tariffs, they had to follow the rules of origin. So first, they identified the criteria their machinery needed to meet. The parts in that case were sourced from different countries, but assembled in the UK, meaning then the product had substantial transformation. So that's box one ticked. Next, they gathered all the necessary documents. This included a certificate of origin to prove the machinery was made and invoices detailing the parts and costs. They also needed a bill of lading, which is a document that shows the shipment details and serves as a contract between the shipper and the carrier. Okay, so Company X then verified and certified the origin of their machinery, ensuring all information was accurate. They submitted these documents when exporting their goods. As a result, their machinery qualified for the reduced tariffs under the Windsor Agreements, because remember, it's the UK and the EU. This saved them money on taxes and made their products more competitive in the European Union market. So we discussed the rules of origin and how they determine where goods come from. We also explored the Windsor Agreement and its impact on UK and EU trade. And simply understanding these rules is vital for trade between the UK and the EU, because they help ensure goods qualify for preferential tariffs, saving money and making trade smoother. So to keep operations smooth and compliant, remember to always follow the rules carefully. I don't want to say this over and over, but it is very important. Check your documents, stay updated on trade laws, and work as a team. This will help your company succeed in the UK EU market for sure. Okay, so as we conclude, remember that trade between the UK and the EU has changed after Brexit. We're still adapting to it. So it's important to stay informed about these changes and adapt to new rules. Embracing best practices will help you navigate these shifts and succeed in the new trade landscape. Best of luck in your work. And remember, this is Hernan Tena from TUS International Business Student.